Welcome to Chat and Shit, the podcast that's technically about gut health, but who knows what pan the chat will end up in. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Alana. After a life of cabbage soup diets, energy drinks, and travelling the world as DJs,
We volunteered for medical research.
we sent off loads of poo samples and found out that despite being identical twins, our guts are completely different.
Basically the same as strangers.
We also learned that gut health is serious stuff and linked to pretty much everything from mental health to immunity.
When we first started on our journey, our favourite thing to do was to take the experts and scientists out for pints to pick their brains about the latest findings.
So we thought we'd do that again with some of our celeb pals so they can ask the top experts in the world anything they like.
Literally anything. This is Chat and Shit.
So we talk a lot about body confidence and loving ourselves, but how confident are we navigating the nutri-nonsense to be confident enough about making the right decisions for us and our guts? So helping us navigate the bullshit today is Rob. Rob actually has too many letters and qualifications in his bio that I didn't know what some of them were. So I recognise masters. And you also have 2 decades of experience across nutrition, sports nutrition and public health. What a trifecta. You've written 3 books, now 4?
4.
Is that spoiler? You're regularly on the telly. Why would you not put that face on the telly? And you're amazing at simplifying things for people. Picking his brains today is Jules Von Hep. So Jules actually has seen Alana and I's bums. There's a fact, because he's fake tanned us before. And you have, over the years, the past decade, just brought so much joy to my Instagram feed. You've brought so much joy, tan, and body loving to the world in my Instagram. So I just
Love
want to
that,
thank you for that.
Our friend today, when we messaged saying it was you, she was like, oh my God, I love him so much.
Can you ask him why my tan sticks to my spots? Why is that? Why does tan stick
No, she
to
said every
spots
time
so
she puts
much?
fake tan on, she breaks out.
I'd want to know what tan it is. I'd want to know what a
Alright,
skincare
okay, we need more
routine is.
deets.
I need more
need
more
more deets.
information.
Mindful.
But I could dissect that for her.
That's another episode. That's a spin-off.
Yeah, fine.
Jules asked, great. So Jill, you've done a lot of loving on the outside and the outside of your body
Yeah.
for yourself and others.
Yeah.
How much do you love your guts on the inside?
I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm about to start learning more. I feel like I've focused a lot of my journey so far on the outside and making peace with my appearance, etc. I've always heard about microbiome and gut health within the industry, and it is definitely something that I am focused on, but I'm super keen to learn more, for sure.
Okay, great. Good answer. That's good. We're all here. Well done. I think, Rob, there's a bit of confusion, especially with this new wave of gut health, which is a really complex area of science. And a lot of people don't actually know, like you worked in the kind of wider public health, what actually like healthy food is and isn't.
Yeah, definitely. I think misinformation has confused everybody, like social media, all that kind of stuff. And it's really quite basic. Things haven't really changed a lot over the years. And I think what people have lost sight of is just getting the basics right.
Yeah.
You know, we're so obsessed with different types of diets, different diet regimes, supplements, everything to do with that. But, you know, I think that you've just got to get the basics right. And it's really easy, you know, plenty of plant-based foods, lean proteins, healthy fats in your diet, you know, time your meals properly. It's better to eat in the morning than to eat in the evening. You know, there's just lots of basic groundwork to do in nutrition that we should try and get right before we fall for the rest of it.
Well, I think it's because we all want to be sold the sexy stuff and pills and simple fixes, don't we? And you just want a magic bullet that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I feel like we're all being sold like this idea of perfection a lot of the time by these guys, and it's not really about that. It's just trying to get a balance right. You know, there's no magic bullet to any of it.
It can feel, for me, I work in the beauty industry, and I know that as a beauty consumer going to a shelf, it can for them feel like, oh my God, there's so many things. Which order do I do? What do I do? And that is almost how I feel when it comes to gut health, that one person's telling me, oh, I can mix all these different things in a bottle and swallow, and that's great. Another person is telling me you can't mix, you have to stagger the things that you take. It feels like there is just this sea of things to take for your gut health. I don't know how regulated it is, and I also don't know the order of the things that I'm supposed to ingest stuff with. It feels confusing.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just focus on the diet side of things more than the supplements.
Yeah.
And, you know, getting people to understand to get more fibre in their diet, you know, plenty of fruits and vegetables. Then you've got your polyphenols, you've got your prebiotics. I think getting all that side of the stuff right first is the first step.
And ultra-processed foods is quite a good place to start, because I know that you Did you read a book recently? You've become quite obsessed with the
ultra processed people. That book in itself just really opened my mind up. And I have a history of disordered eating, so I always tread very carefully when it comes into any form of navigating what I'm about to change within my diet. And that is something that when I heard it, I just couldn't believe, because in my line of work, whether it's been backstage in TV or on aircrafts or traveling, it's actually quite hard to navigate away from UPF unless you are super aware of what it is. And also, if you prepare, and I'm just not the kind of person who's going to leave the home with a box of quinoa. Like, it's just not going to happen. I hate Tupperware in the bottom of a bag. Oh my God. But I find that, like, is UPF really as bad as what they say it is?
Yeah, so I think that you have to find a way of working with it that's best for you, like a kind of 80-20 way. You know, UPFs are not great for us, and there's loads of research how they're linked to different health conditions. But also, you know, the whole topic is kind of privileged a little bit. There's lots of people that can't afford this kind of food. They don't have the time to cook. They don't want to cook. They don't have the nutrition literacy. So I think definitely you have to do your best to sort of cut out the usual suspects. The crisps, the chocolate. Pasties. Yeah, exactly. All that kind of food.
I love how much you talk about Greggs and pasties and stuff. I love it.
You can take the girls out of Scotland.
Yeah, quite right.
But yeah, just thinking about getting those foods out, trying to cook from scratch where you can. But also, you know, thinking about UPFs that might not actually be that bad for you as well. You know, you've got bread, Weetabix, wholemeal bread, Weetabix, hummus. These are quite healthy foods that don't really fit the mold of a UPF because they're not hyperpalatable. They contain nutrition that's not in UPF foods, like fibre, for example. So I think having some of these in your diet is absolutely fine. They might just have one small amount of one sort of emulsifier or whatever it is that's gone in there. But as part of a balanced diet, it's absolutely fine, I think, to include some of those foods.
When you said hummus, literally, I am the person, I'm like a retailer's nightmare because I will stand and read the back of what is in the pack. And I only just found this one hummus the other day that was like, that has got the least ingredients in apart from anything else. I don't have time to be blending chickpeas with tahini. It just never tastes as good when you make it from home. It
never tastes as good.
But for me, it's almost become a point of not stress, but it's on my mind a lot of what I'm putting in. And it like you said, bread, I now just will not buy supermarket bread. I only go to a baker to buy sourdough. But again, it's privilege and I can afford £6 on a loaf, but not everyone can do that.
No, and I think for the people that can't do that, there are other ways that you can change the way that you eat to cut down your UPFs. I think there's some like non-negotiables, and if you're feeding a big family and that's just one of the staples, then you just kind of do that. Or, you know, like you go to sourdough. I think it's really important that you don't get obsessed with labels. It's a bit like, you know, what was that from Orthorexia?
Yeah.
You know, getting very paranoid about different health crazes and that kind of stuff. So I think, you know, just you can look at it, but it's kind of obvious with most of the foods that are going to be UPF. I think you just have to use your common sense and just not get too obsessed with it.
And you're a baked bean fan, aren't you, Rob?
I am a baked bean fan, and I've got trolled so much for doing a segment on This Morning about this. And I was just talking about healthier UPFs, but there's so many people have gone right to the thing of like, you shouldn't eat any of them whatsoever, you know, accuse me of being in the food industry. I need to go back and get retrained. But I think you just need to be, I don't need any more degrees, that's for sure. But I think you just need to
give me a couple of letters.
But I think I was trying to just make it really realistic. Like, come on, it's baked beans, Weetabix and bread. These foods are not unhealthy. You know, you just have to take a bit of a reality check. And obviously still think about the nutrition side of things, because let's not forget about the sugar, the fat and the salt that's in these foods, because that's still a key issue.
And I also think there's an element of like just enjoying life.
Exactly.
I always try and take myself back to like, oh God, just eat the ice cream. Like, enjoy the moment. This is a lovely thing to have. But I have friends who are so against UPF that there's no ice cream in the house. There's nothing. You go to you leave and you're starving.
The thing is, I think that's fine. Yeah. I think that's great. If you want to do it, it's a really healthy way to eat, right? I think it's cool. I don't eat like that. I still include some UPFs because I'm busy. I've got a life, and like I don't want to lose the enjoyment of food.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm out with my niece and it's her birthday and I want a piece of birthday cake and a cocktail, I'm going to have it right. I'm not going to say no because I'm not eating any UPF. So I think you have to find a balance. Otherwise, it all just gets a bit ridiculous, and it's not sustainable. Those guys are doing it now. I'd like to see where they are in 10 years' time, whether they've managed to keep that up, because it's hard work.
I think it's
And
also
bonbons
reflective
and
of your
Haribo.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like people who have jobs where they're out on the road all the time and if they have to eat out of service stations, there's no way you can avoid GPF with that kind of line of work. And that's just it.
You can make some different choices though, because sometimes you can find little salads that you can put together, or there's like boiled eggs and something. There's always something you can kind of whip together in some way, shape or form.
I had an absolute doozy yesterday. I was travelling and I went
Doozy,
into...
are you
a doozy.
you
Is that a word?
It is the word.
I had an absolute doozy.
I felt 97 hearing that.
Doozy.
Anyway, I was travelling and I went into said shop and they had, your usual sandwiches. That's not what I fancy. So they had it was like a tuna and it had chickpeas, lentils on it. It's like a wee, I'll not mention the brand, but it was, and I got it. No fucking fork. Zero fork, no spoon.
That's why you've got to be a Tupperware one.
Then I had to buy crisps to dip in.
Quite right.
To have it. And then I'm going down the train, then I've got a fork, down to the cafe.
Also,
spoons,
eating tuna on a train is so bold.
To be honest,
You were that
I
guy.
actually hadn't thought about it, and I peeled back the foil, and I just saw people looking at me, and I was like, "Oh God!" But then I was like, "No, do you know what? I got my omega-3 tested recently, and it's insufficient. I don't care what they think. I need this
Should you
tuna
tell that to
in my
the
body."
Obsessed.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is there's no omega-3 in tin tuna. Yeah, sorry.
Oh my God!
It's not an oily fish.
Taxi for
No,
one.
sorry.
Gutted. So I just had everyone hate me on that train for nothing.
If you're eating fish on a train, you've got to inhale fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Go.
All right, so there's no.
It's not an oily
omega-3
fish. No, they
Oh my
declassified
God,
as an
no,
oily
it was
fish
as well.
ages ago. So you got salmon, mackerel, trout, herring, those kind of
Imagine
foods,
I'd
but
whacked
not
it some sardines.
So it did used to be, and then they declassified it. They were like, actually, nah,
Yeah,
you've
it's
been
just
off
you're
the list.
out. There's
Right.
there's not enough omega-3.
Oh my God, Rob! Just as well you've said that, I can save my money now.
And everyone else on the bloody trains from Hitchin into London.
I've been having so much tuna because I'm not getting enough omega-3. There we are.
Bit
Okay.
of salmon next time.
Okay.
That's what you need.
Oh God, people are going to love me then. As well.
Speaking of omega-3s and fish, I think we obviously are obsessed with fibre, quite rightly. Microbes love it, etc. Alana has realised that you can tell us, you can speak
Okay,
for
thank
yourself.
you. Thanks for your permission. We also, when we've been getting everything tested recently, found out that my muscle mass was quite low. So obviously I'm devastated by this. I've obviously been
Like
doing...
really bad, like
I'm devastated. I want
Bad,
everything
low.
right. But, so muscle mass is low, so they're like, you need to eat more protein. So now I'm like, right, I've obviously been on the fibre hunt. I'm like, well, how much protein do I actually need? So now obviously I'm like you, went completely the other way. I've got protein shakes. I'm eating chicken like it's gone out of fashion. I'm absolutely hammering it. But I'm like, do I actually need all this protein? And what, I'm so confused by protein and what it does to the gut. And obviously
thought
I've
you
just
need
been...
And I don't eat meat. So I'm
Okay.
so confused with protein
Right.
and where I can get, because there's only so far a Belotti bean is going to take you. You know what I mean?
oh my God, what a mantra for life.
Get that on your wall.
Yeah, should we have a lesson in protein?
Yes,
Yeah, I love that.
Waiting.
Hens
So-
of pieces out, honey.
Yeah, so basically, you work it out. The bare minimum you need is 0.75 grams per kilo of body weight. So if you weigh 70 kilos, it's only 55 grams, which isn't a massive amount of protein. If you think
Is that a week or a day? Or
that's a
month?
day.
A day.
So this is a day.
Yeah, I was like, where am I?
That's like a Belotti bean a month.
Sweet. Works for me.
So that'd be a day, right? And obviously that's a bare minimum. If you're training, you might need a bit more. That might go to 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, because you're working in the gym, your muscles need to repair, they need to recover, all that kind of stuff. Some athletes that are really engaged in power sports need much more. But for yourself, think about, on a gram, it's really easy to work out. Gram per kilogram of body weight. If you think that a chicken breast, 100 grams is 30 grams of protein.
All right, that's quite a lot.
So
Is that like a
150
pan size?
Yeah, but a normal size would be 150 grams. That's 45 grams of protein already, right? So a bowl of porridge with some with some milk and some seeds probably give you another 15 to 20 grams. Lentil
there.
soup with a piece of bread, you've got another 15 grams. And it's not just those protein foods, but protein's in a lot of other foods that we don't think of as high source of protein. So bread, pasta, vegetables like peas,
I
broccoli,
love pasta.
they all contain, I wouldn't say it's the main source of protein, but
I'll cancel the gnocchi.
but it all adds up, you know, it all tallies up across the day. So you're probably getting more protein than you think. The thing is, if you want to build muscle mass, you kind of need to get in the gym. You need to do strength training because that's the only way.
Strength training is the one, and it's like longevity as
I know.
well.
And I know I need to get on it. And you get to a certain age, people are like, you need to do strength training or not. I just love singing away on my Peloton, right? But I do know I need to pick up the weights
And that protein, you want to drip feed it across the day. So there's this
okay,
idea of, you know, you go to the gym and then within an hour you have to eat protein. You know, that's kind of important. But what's more important is that you drip feed that protein across the day. So you're constantly providing protein to your body. If you're vegan or you don't eat meat, so there's
I eat fish, I just don't eat meat.
Okay. You're one of those vegans that eats fish that I come across.
No, I'm from dairy farming.
I hear it all.
That's good though.
I don't drink milk, but I like yogurt. It's just there's so much of this stuff goes around. Yeah, so tofu is great. Corns, beans, pulses, lentils, they're kind of your main key sources of protein. I don't really like the fake meats so much. They're a bit weird.
Just haven't.
For me, it's like I won't go near that.
And I think there's nicer ways. I think it's really interesting that the vegan diet went from being this whole food approach to eating, and it's now swamped with UPF foods. You know,
sausages with nonsense in
it's
them.
just so easy to become an unhealthy vegan. You know, people think, oh, it's a brownie, but it's vegan, so it must be healthy. It's still a brownie. And those puddings, vegan puddings, full of coconut oil, you know, dried fruit, they're pretty calorific. So I think, just again, trying to go for whole foods, but the tofu side of things, soya milk is great, that kind of stuff.
I was so close to buying a tofu noodle thing in Wagamama's the other day. I didn't do it. I got the chicken and prawn in the end, but
Are you a tofu
I was
fan?
close.
Are you a tofu fan, Jules?
Yeah, but I don't like making it at home. It's too wet.
Yeah,
Too much of a bath.
So the key,
how's
you
the best
have
way to do this?
You have to dry it for
I ain't got
ages.
time for that.
Yes, you have got time for that. Just roll it around and press it. And then what you do is you cut it up into cubes, roll it in corn flour, and maybe put some spices in the corn flour. And then you fry it in the pan. It goes crispy on the outside, but nice and soft in the middle, which is what you want. Okay. And also, I've got this great recipe in one of my cookbooks where you then do onions, garlic, chili, soy. You kind of make it into this mush, this delicious mush. It all sits on top, and it's great.
So you do it in the air fryer?
I don't know. I don't use an air fryer.
Because
Alana, you don't even use your bloody air fryer.
I do.
No, you don't. Your air fryer has got like baby bottles and shit in it. You do not use your air fryer because Luke brought you the wrong one.
Got to blow the
Admit
dust
it.
off because you
literally. I got
Honestly, and our trays are like full of shite. They're like all got grease on them.
No,
and
that's
they're disgusting. You're a minger.
Basically, I got one that's got, you can do a rotisserie chicken in it. Hashtag protein,
nice.
right?
Yeah, hashtag protein.
But obviously, we never do a rotisserie chicken. And because I always see on Instagram is people with the drawers, I'm like, well, I don't have the drawers. I've got shelves sort of thingy, so I'm not doing it. So I don't. But I would try a bit of tofu in there. If it made it crispy, but I'm like, I don't like it when it goes like moist and squidgy. No.
Just when I see on Instagram people with that wet towel, forget it. Forget it.
You can buy like quite nice pieces, and I don't think they're UPF. They're just pieces marinated with just soy and spices.
Yeah, Tofu, that brand.
Tofu, and I think Cauldron as well do one that's quite nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, check the label. But
While we're on protein, can I ask you about protein shakes from the gym? Because I swerve them big time, and they like when I see like the big packs of protein, are people just caning it? I'm like, what is that you're putting in your body?
Listen, I've just told you how much protein is in real food. So it's like, I don't know why people think, and it's always the people that don't really do a lot of exercise as well that you see just chucking them back. I mean, there's like 25
and these massive things as
they're
well.
massive, they're brightly coloured, you know, they they are UPF. You can get ones that aren't, like unflavoured.
That's the one I've just bought, but did I waste my 25 quid?
You can make it yourself. You can make some yourself. They're convenient, right? So you can make a protein shake yourself really easily at home.
Right.
But, you know, I think that they are quite convenient. So maybe if you've missed breakfast, you've gone to the gym and you're in a rush, then cool, they can sort of fill a gap.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need them every day.
Oh my God,
And
I
I just
bought
don't think you
myself-
need to waste your money on them. I just think they're really expensive
And too
and not
much
really
protein.
needed. I think it's not the protein as such, because you can just digest protein. It gets used for, a bit for muscles. You can absorb like 40 grams or something for muscles max. The rest kind of just gets broken down. Used for it gets used or broken down. I think the problem is where you're getting your protein from. So some protein shakes will be whey-based. That can cause quite a lot of bloating in some people. They might have lactose. Somebody got slightly lactose intolerant. You've got polyols that are a type of sweetener. They can cause bloating and diarrhea. If you're getting all your protein from red meat, processed meat, that's not great for your gut, all that red meat. Lots of processed meat. It's been linked to...
Really? I always say this to my husband because he canes me, and I'm always like, you fucking stink afterwards. Because I don't eat meat, and I can really, I'm like, this is definitely meat
I wonder
related.
if you've become more sensitive to it.
Oh, 100%. I'm also just a fucking ratchet bitch. So red meat is bad for...
I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm going to say it probably can have an effect. If you're eating loads of red meat, I imagine it has an effect on your gut microbiome. And I think that the processed meat, you don't want to be eating loads of processed meat. This is correlated to an increased risk of bowel cancer. So that's not a great way to get your protein.
On the rise in young people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the context as well, a lot of people now are doing carnivore diets and keto diets where, it's protein, loads of fat, there's no fibre, they're cutting out whole grains, they're cutting out all those fruits and vegetables, polyphenols that are going to, prebiotics, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's the protein. I think it's where you're getting it from in the context. Yeah.
Yeah, because and remember everyone went through a stage of, I'm saying everyone, people we know in our sphere, just eating like mince by itself in like Tupperware and just having like Tupperware of mince for their protein thing.
But where is the joy in that?
Yeah, that's exactly. Where is the joy? Who knows? On to joy. I am the same as you, and Alana, when we're stressed, Alana doesn't eat, and I emotionally eat.
Yeah. When people say I'm stressed, I don't eat, I'm like, God, how nice.
Maniac.
How nice
you're
for
a
you.
maniac. It's like these people that put half a bag of crisps back in their bag. I'm like, you're a fucking maniac. They eat half a bag of
I'm a
crisps
bag
and
in the
then
air.
put it
Let's go.
then put it back in their bag, or like half a chocolate bar, then put it back in their
Half
bag.
a
I'm like,
whisper, fuck off.
Yeah. Or one of the Twixies out of the packet, like, you're a maniac.
Or
Goodbye.
just like 3 Haribo. No. I smashed that whole bag of
The
mango.
serving size on the back of the packet. That's what they say. It's ridiculous.
Is there links between, is there science behind why we would emotionally eat and why that is a thing?
Yeah, I think there is science. I don't know what the science is, but I think it's fairly well established that some people will react to eating food if it's emotional. I think that food is quite addictive, especially UPFs are very addictive. They're very hyperpalatable. That balance of fat, salt and sugar, it triggers reward centers in your brain. That releases dopamine. So I think all of that feeling good from that food is like a crutch that you kind of need. I think a lot of it is based in habit as well, kind of what we think about comfort from being a kid, those kind of foods you want to eat. I mean, it could be linked to your microbiome as well, like the emotional side of eating, because we make neurotransmitters in our gut. So 95% of the serotonin is made in your gut, dopamine is made in your gut. So if your gut isn't functioning properly, there's a good chance that you might not be producing as much of those neurotransmitters. So you might be low mood, you might be stressed, and something you go for then is comfort food to try and help you to sort of deal with that. So I think there's probably a link. And obviously, hunger hormones are regulated in your stomach as well and in your gut, ghrelin, GLP hormone, leptin. So I think as well, if that's disrupted, that could affect your appetite, cause cravings. I don't know 100%, but that's kind of...
If you're feeling low and you're stress eating, but you're stressed and then you're not releasing enough serotonin because of the stress eating, then you're then going round in the cycle again and stress eating more. So are there foods that are proven to boost serotonin more than other foods?
That's a really tricky one. So people talk about tryptophan.
I was just about to say
Yeah. So tryptophan...
That sounds cool.
It does.
I'm a fan of tryptophan.
Yeah.
Where do they sell that?
It is Friday.
I've lost my train of thought now. No, definitely. So tryptophan. So tryptophan is an amino acid that goes into the brain and it makes serotonin. So foods rich in tryptophan would be meat, dairy, oats, bananas. There's lots of different foods that contain tryptophan. The key is then to combine that with carbohydrate. Tryptophan's a really small amino acid, but unlike the other amino acids, it doesn't react to insulin being released. So if you eat a carbohydrate, Your body releases insulin, it pulls all those amino acids away, and then there's lots of room for tryptophan to go up into the brain and produce serotonin. So you could eat more tryptophan-rich foods.
I am obsessed with this.
But it's more, I think it's more about the carbohydrate side of things. So, fiber. I think so, yeah. And, like women during certain stages of their menstrual cycle as well might crave carbs because of this drop in serotonin. And it's a way of kind of your body reacting to get more serotonin.
That's crazy. And also, I didn't realise tryptophan, obviously serotonin is a precursor to melatonin, is that right?
Yeah.
So if you have tryptophan before you go to bed, it can help, or food that are high, or is this bullshit? I've read this.
Maybe.
Is this nonsense?
I'm not sure it has that much of that dramatic of an effect. I think what you want to do is just make sure that your diet contains plenty of good quality protein, so you've got tryptophan in your body.
Okay.
It's not that you take it before bed and it knocks you out. Probably what's going on there is the carbohydrate meal is making you a little bit more sleepy because carbs make you feel like that. And I think that's probably more than the tryptophan. It doesn't work like melatonin. It's not like taking a tablet.
Just like on a side note as well, like just this comfort eating thing. I noticed it this week. Like my daughter was ill, and we were all like, "Do you want a treat, like to make her feel better?" And we had that when we were younger. Do you know what I mean? If we were well behaved, or our behaviors towards foods are so strange, like corrupt, going up, because it's like, if you're unwell or you were good, you got something that was, bad for you, like a treat, like chocolate or crisps or whatever. So growing up, like that's your reward system. I guess like our behaviour with food from a very young age all the way up is a bit, from our reward system point of view, it's a bit mucked up, isn't it?
Yeah, we do that with everything though, don't we? It's like, I think we're all brought up with the idea that if you eat your food, you get something sweet afterwards as a reward. In my new book, I talk about more, sweet treats. In my book, I talk more about like trying to engage with different foods. Like if you've got a kid that's a bit older, why not make something really like a nice comforting broth, or that like pot roast chicken with whole grains or spelt or something that's really nourishing, and it can be like the dish that mum cooks, like when I feel really crap or I'm in a bad mood, just get your benefit from that, get that comfort from that food as opposed to always going for sweets.
Yeah. She asked me this morning if I could take the skin off her apple. I nearly cried. I was like, oh God, there goes all that fibre. So I was like, I'll negotiate with you. She's 3.5. I was like, okay, if I do the skin off half the apple and you have half of it, will you have it? And she went, okay, deal. And I was like, fine. But I was like, there goes all that fibre into my waste bin. I ate it myself, obviously.
This is a bit too therapy for the therapy couch, but do you see a correlation between childhood, what happened there, and your eating pattern?
Oh, Hundy P. Hundy P. And yeah, oh God, I grew up in a house like, my mum is one of like 2 sisters. It's all sweet treats and yeah, totally. And emotional eating. Like I actually heard with emotional eating, it was about fight or flight. And there's a point where if the body's really stressed, it panics, and then you start eating to let it know that we're not starving, like we're not dying, it's okay.
Are you waiting for an answer? Because I don't know.
No, I was just watching. I also can't stop thinking about tryptophan. Like that was just in my brain. Like.
Well, I think it is interesting with like the fight or flight thing, because I do think when in now, like back in the day, our bodies don't know the difference between stress and perceived stress. This is right. So if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, or you get an email from your boss, your body reacts chemically in the same way, and we're expecting our bodies to digest food, which is quite a lot of work for them, whilst we're literally being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. And I've always thought that's quite interesting. Like,
well, it's going to give you indigestion, isn't it? Because all the blood is being taken away from your gut
muscles.
to your muscles and your brain so that it can react. And actually it could instigate a bit of hunger as well, just to try and get some energy into your body. Don't quote me on that, but that's kind of, it could be something in that.
I think as well, that's why nutrition is so complex, because we're trying to pick apart the nutritional science, which actually, as an area of science, is one of the most complex areas. It's probably more complex than space and physics, because there's lots of shit going on and lots of new stuff comes out all the time, particularly with the microbiome. And also there's all the cultural stuff that we've built up, and what, Ms. Magazine and everyone sold us in our teens. And I think that those are actually really tricky to pull apart, aren't they? And that's why it's so linked to body confidence and the outside, because they're like one and the same.
But I think there's like this big thing that we think that the perfect body looks like X. And I'm interested to know your opinion. is there a stereotypical perfect body? Like if you have the best gut health, you're going to the gym, like if you're living the healthy lifestyle that we're all told to live, is that body shape a certain size?
I don't think it is. Everybody's just different. And, there's this idea about fat cells. People have different size fat cells. So some people are just naturally bigger. It doesn't mean they're any unhealthier. Their metabolic health can be perfect. They're just bigger. So I think there isn't a perfect size. I think we're all completely different. I don't like it when I see clients that are really trying to go against their body size and they're starving themselves. And it's just not a great way to live. You're kind of fighting a losing battle a little bit. And I think, stop eating to be thin, like just start eating to be really healthy and to have that long-term health secured. I think that's the most important thing. And I think I was brought up in the 90s and it was just, everyone was just wanted to be thin, right? And anything you could do to do that. And I'm not sure how well those guys are going to fare later in life. Your bone density, because you haven't looked after your bone health and all that kind of stuff. Your gut health must have taken a hit.
Like if I think about the times in my life that I've been at my thinnest, I've been the most unhappy, for whatever it was, grief or, like starved myself on certain diets and things like that. And I think that all has to be in consideration. But I am loving the rise in saunas because I know, like when I go into a sauna, wherever it is, not kind of sauna, like an actual...
I was going to say, what happens in Hitchin stays in Hitchin. Jesus.
We do not judge.
Girls gotta do. No, but when you go into sauna, you realise everyone is just all different shapes and sizes, and that is like just a random, microcosm, like section of society. But you're like, oh, this ideal that I see on Instagram, which is probably AI now, by the way, just doesn't exist in the real. Maybe there's like 0.000% of the population.
One of my bugbears is that what I eat in a day. It's right. Who cares what you eat in a day? Everybody eats different food. Like, why is somebody going to aspire to what you make yourself every day? It's just such rubbish. And then, the ones that are like cooking from scratch, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then they're making these flapjacks for their. You don't eat like that. That's just not. That's just not the real world.
In the beauty world, it's the new one, like what my regime is before 9 a.m. and it's people like scraping their tongues. Like doing all sorts
infrared maths.
Who's got time?
Oh, you can make time. Okay. No, let me tell you.
What's yours? Do you have any like a well-being routine before 9 a.m?
Before I always wake up at 6 and I have like, I've now started doing like a big cup of herbal tea because I'm a big believer in good skin comes from within, and a product. You might correct me, but I think it's split into 33% genetics, 33% diet, 33% skincare for you to 0.3 recurring, but that's how you reach optimal skin. But I also know that a lot of the stuff in the beauty industry, I can also smell bullshit from a mile off. So I try and hydrate, and then I have a coffee, then I work out, and then I fast. So I love a 16-8 fasting. For me,
do you?
Yeah.
Like energy wise, or just like?
I feel like I'm more productive if I haven't got a full stomach. And once I get to lunchtime, that's like, okay, break, and I'm digesting through the afternoon. I try and balance my insulin afterwards and go for a walk. My pre 9 a.m. Yeah, just your standard beauty stuff. LEDs, serum. Facial massage.
Oh, I was actually going to, this is a total tangent, but the bucolic massage thing, when you get inside your mouth, what are you supposed to do there? Because I've got such a tight jaw.
They say in beauty that if you're clenching, it's stress. I got trained in spray tanning by Nicola Joss, who's Scottish celebrity facialist, and she does inner facial work. And I actually had a facial with her this week, and she just pushes your muscles here. It hurts, but afterwards you feel totally like you've released something.
Well, I need to do that.
I'll hook you up.
Yes, please. I need some. I felt like that this morning, because at the dentist, they made me a thing because the dentist was like, oh, wow, you're so tight. And I'm like, yeah, I'm up all night with a child that doesn't fucking sleep. That's why I'm tight. But yeah, so I felt like I needed to get somebody's thumb in there.
But I mean, that's part of the joy of wellness is that it's touch from another human. And I think humans respond and they must release something like serotonin from physical. That's why it feels good after a hug. And it's not always about a pill that you take to make you feel better. You can feel better in so many different ways.
It sounds like it's because you've got such a good bullshit scanner in your armory for beauty. Why do you think that you don't? Why do you not feel confident in yourself like you have that with food? Is it knowledge, or is it like?
I think
the confusion
Well, I think
of the relationship with food.
anyone who has had past eating disorders would say it's control. Everything always goes back to control. And if I'm out of control, I don't like it. I like to feel completely like I know what's going on. And it's taken me years to get to this point of finding balance with eating. And being able to eat sugar and not panic the next day that, oh my God, I did this and I did that. And I just try and be in like a happy, healthy place, which not everyone can reach.
No.
And I think it becomes harder and harder for individuals to navigate this UPF world. And particularly with them, there's just so much bullshit that is put out by the skincare and beauty and health and well-being and food industries that trusting your gut has almost, we as human beings, we've almost muted that feeling. And it's about trusting your gut more than ever.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean...
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Good night.
Podcast. This is a good podcast.
I totally agree with that. And there's a lot of scaremongering. You know, the guys that walk around the supermarket showing you this food is this and like what's in this, you know, it's just not helpful as a nutritionist.
It is scary, you're right. It is scary.
And imagine if you're a parent with kids and you're trying to look for something to feed your kids. I just don't find any of that stuff. It's just not useful at all. It's like we all know what a UPF is. You're holding up a really obvious food that is clearly going to have loads of different ingredients. Like, it's just not useful. It's not offering an alternative. It's not offering you a solution. It's just scaremongering and clickbait at the same time. You know, it's just rubbish.
And what do we think the answer is? Because I guess you have... personally, the one-man band have cracked it with body confidence. What do you think the cut through has been with that? Like permission or?
I always say whenever, because I host confidence workshops, and if ever a client comes to me and says, you know, where do I start with like trying to love my body? Acceptance is the first thing, and actually. Even though you're identical twins, like you have different body shapes, different like facial. There's so many different things about you, and I think recognizing that, yes, DNA is part of it, but the world that you live in and your job, everything about it will affect the size and shape of your body. And that's the hardest lesson, I think. And then once you start to accept, then you can move forward and start building in the blocks of confidence on top of that.
I also think like it's so... like how everyone else is reacting, like especially Alana and I are like prime example. You know, we were totally identical until we were like 19, 20. And then one of us would put on weight and the other wouldn't. And it's insane with twins how vocal people are like, oh, well, your nose is bigger and you're definitely fatter now. Why is that? And
Your
like,
forehead's bigger.
and I'm like, wow, people literally play spot the difference, like live in front of us. And I'm like, I didn't realise how damaged I was by that until like, and then like, you know, even if like when one of us had babies, like it's always like, oh yeah, well, you're much fatter now. Like, just give birth like a couple of weeks ago. Is that? And also like, who gives a fuck? Why are you commenting on that? Like, and I just think it's a real, like, I don't know, it's just so immediate for us that people just do it right in front of our faces. And like everything that you're saying to me, obviously I think. But equally, why is that the first thing that you notice?
Well, I think it's because the human beings are so conditioned within our society to judge solely on aesthetic. And that is also a back catalogue of 90s diet culture, that your worth is placed entirely on the texture of your skin, the shape of your body, the thickness of your hair, the length of your lashes. Like, it's bullshit. And really... when somebody leaves the room, I'm really not going to remember anything about your aesthetic once I leave this room. I'm going to remember like how we've laughed on this podcast, how you made me feel, the things that I've learned. That's what tripped me in or whatever. Like, can't get that out of my brain. But that's really what I think is important to focus on. But unfortunately, brands can't sell us product unless we're not feeling shit about ourselves. So they create a problem and then they sell you the solution to make money. And until we start to navigate that world, then I don't know how we're supposed to move forward with it.
I think that's everything, though. If you think about supplements, that's what we do. A lot of the health stuff that's sold to us, it creates an issue and then sells you the solution. It's exactly the same thing. And just trying to navigate that is confusing.
And from like a public health perspective, I know you've studied that, a lot of your letters are to do with that. How can we get people reframing? Because a lot of, even still, I would say 90% of people that like at dinner parties or that we've come across since we started in this world go, I really need to lose weight, so I'm going to look after my gut health. And I'm like, what about all the other health aspects that gut health is linked to, like that would improve? Like, how can we start to reframe that in people's minds?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an education thing. I think people still associate gut health with bloating, flat tummies, digestion. So I think exactly. And I think that we need to make people aware of the other functions of the gut. You know, it helps disease prevention, mental health, all that kind of thing. And yeah, I think also there's a lot of people that think they've got a gut problem when they have the slightest bit of bloating or anything. They're like, my gut's a problem now. So they start going on sort of cutting endless foods out. So I think getting people to understand their gut a bit better, like what is normal. Your gut changes all the time. Different situations make it react in different ways. So I think, helping people to understand just a bit more about how the gut works, maybe.
And I think the bloating thing is so interesting because people come to it like, oh, I'm really bloated. I'm like, have you had a big meal? Yeah. Okay. But I mean,
that's kind of what happens, right?
It's kind of like that's like, and I just think that's why, like, you know, we've all, if people, because for us, like, you know, we would just not eat for 2 weeks before we went on holiday or do the cabbage soup diet pre-Magaluf 2005. And I just think that is how we've thought. And it was like, if you had a flat stomach, that was it. And it's just not real life and pretty dangerous.
Yeah, and I've also worked in the media for long enough to know these are the hooks. So always bloating gets people interested, whether it's a magazine article or it's like, here's 10 tips to help you with bloating on social media. It's always the one that seems to be used first, especially for women.
I saw someone on social media today promoting like an electrolyte that had diuretic within it for facial bloating. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you can't promote diuretics as a form of combating bloating. That makes no sense.
Oh yeah, skinny teas. We've had.
I do worry about that next generation, like that TikTok generation, because not only are they consuming it like on Instagram, it's so quick. And, you know, that's just all feeding into their brains from such a young age. And I think, you know, we were obviously brought up on very much thinking that health was what was on the outside. And, you know, it's taken us, you know, nearly 10 years, Lisa, to actually reframe that and reframe our thinking of actually, I'm healthier with what's going on the inside rather than what's, you know, going on the outside. But it's very, very difficult when, you know, when in those teenage years and you're self-conscious and, you know, you do believe everything that you hear or what your friends tell you. And I think...
Yeah, and there was some research not long ago, actually, that looked at TikTok and only 2% of the information about nutrition was correct. And this is where those kids are going for their nutrition advice and sports advice. They use it like Google. They just search for a term and it all comes up. And it's all just... It's just all rubbish. It's just all misinformation. And I think it's just, you know, it's just going to confuse them. But I don't know where else they go, because also they don't believe people like me anymore. They believe the guys that shout the loudest, have the most followers and everything else. So it's a bit of a battle.
Having letters against your name is just quite frankly
It just doesn't help.
Do you think food is medicine?
Do I think food is medicine? I think it's a benefit to all aspects of your health. In terms of whether you can use it to treat yourself for disease, I'm not totally sold on that, to be honest. Obviously, gut health, if you eat sort of certain types of fibre or whatever, yes. But, you know, sort of curing yourself with food. What's that thing on Netflix at the moment about the one with cancer and food?
Vinegar, yeah.
I think that's a prime example. It's like a statement on every nutritional therapist's website. And I get it, because food is so important. It gives you all the nutrients. We can't live without it. But I think there's a fine line between giving you adequate nutrition to support how your body works and then using it as a way of treating some sort of disease or condition. I don't know. I think you have to tread really carefully.
Well, I think that's because we live in such a binary world where it's like, this can cure this. And it's like, actually, if you like have cancer as an example of this, like there, you know, eating better, there are things you can do, but having more turmeric, you know, there's stuff like that's going to cure your cancer, or kombucha's the magic elixir of life. And you're like, people just have lost the common sense to know when something is clinical and that thing between like well-being and a clinical thing, and we've lost that scale because everything is so extreme that's sold to us.
It's just getting to grips with the nuance of it all, and people don't know how to read scientific papers. They just see what in the Daily Mail headline that just says this study shows that this cures this. So, you know, it is really confusing for people, and I think it's just really hard to navigate. What's
the kind of weirdest, most wonderful thing you've fallen for in the nutrition world in terms of supplements? Or
oh my God. Because I was definitely orthorexic as well. Like, I became very obsessed with health. Just taking lots of different supplements and not really knowing what I was taking. I don't know if like, I remember doing a tree syrup diet when I was at
Tree
uni.
syrup
Yeah,
diet,
and you had
wow.
to drink this. Like, I think Beyonce
Sap.
was apparently doing it, and it just would make me explode. Literally, like it was just terrible.
Was this the maple syrup,
the
cayenne
cake,
pepper,
cayenne
and lemon
pepper.
juice?
I did that as
Yeah,
well.
it was-
We did that.
I mean, what was that?
What was
I think
it?
no,
I tried to
supplements.
swerve it all now. I don't want to know what the bad diet is. Like,
Chia water.
It's but shit, what it's disgusting. It's like frog
Salty.
spawn. But I
Yeah.
think the supplement thing is confusing. I think supplements do have a place. Like I can reel off loads of situations where they can be useful, like vitamin D in the winter. We don't get enough. Folic acid when you're pregnant. B12 if you're vegan because you can't really get it from plant-based foods. There's so many examples of where they're really useful. But like you said, people chuck handfuls of supplements because they want more energy or whatever. But your body can only take in so much nutrition. It only needs a certain amount. So taking more is really not going to be any benefit at all. There's a problem with like maybe double dosing. So taking too much, and certain nutrients are toxic, like fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin A. So you do have to be really careful. You need to be really strategic about why you need it. And it's like someone used the analogy once that if you had a headache, you take a Nurofen. If you didn't have a headache anymore, you wouldn't keep taking the Nurofen. So I think you take them for periods of time when you need them, and then you just stop. And some can be quite therapeutic. Plant sterols can reduce cholesterol. You could try taking turmeric. There's some research for joint health, but there's no guarantee it's going to work. But you could try it for 3 months. You might notice a mild difference. Great, that's cool. But you can't say it's going to work for everybody.
And it's a privilege thing as well. Like if you've
Can
got
you
enough
afford
money
it?
to chuck at
Yeah.
it and see
Yeah.
what happens, then that's privilege, you know. So have you got any last burning questions?
I have
for us or
one
Rob? Yeah.
question. So within the beauty industry, skin barrier is this word that is batted around all over the place. And I actually put into Google yesterday, how do I combat my skin barrier? And all I was sold was beauty products. Fine, lovely. But I personally think that that is a bit of bullshit. And while the beauty industry is claiming that these products, yes, they'll help your skin barrier being a thing that is about combating pollution and things from the outside world going into your body through your skin. Can you, through your gut health or through your diet, work to create healthy skin barrier and healthier skin? Not cosmetically like appealing skin. I'm not talking about blemishes or like dullness. Like, can it be healthier and can you combat skin barrier?
We did a whole episode on this, so we're not experts, but collagen that you ingested, there wasn't actually hardly any studies to say that didn't do your skin, but now there are a few studies to
coming
suggest that
through.
might be beneficial, so like taking collagen supplements. But really, like everything that we do for gut health, fibre, trying to get omegas that aren't tuna and is going to benefit our skin because so I think it's like not there again, there's not like having spirulina is going to help your skin barrier. Like, I think it is just like all the principles that we've talked about. And that's the thing about like skin permeability, that people are like, oh my God, these toxins can get into my skin. And people have the same with leaky gut and gut permeability. When your gut is permeable, things have to pass in and out of it. Like that is, it's leaky gut is just another one of these things that people go, I need to heal my gut. I'm like, do you? How? Like, how? And I think that things are going to pass in and out of our skin and our guts. And I think feeling like we can create barriers or heal them, especially when it comes to gut health, I know skin, that is definitely a thing, is just quite misleading. But
It's used a lot, that leaky gut thing.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was just like a symptom of having a gut condition more than a thing in itself.
yeah,
And it's used all the time. But there are definitely nutrients that are good for your skin, but it doesn't mean that if you take more of them, you're going to get glowing skin. It's just that if you're not having enough of this in your diet, it could impact on your skin. Like iron, orange, green vegetables have got beta carotene. That's really good for your skin. Zinc helps with the control of sebum production and stuff like that. So there's definitely nutrients that are good. I just think it sounds really boring, but it all boils down to just trying to get that balance.
principles.
The principles, the
thing,
basics.
I've done the same skincare routine for years. I know the thing that changes when I have a break out of that is when I'm eating or if I've been drinking too much or and I think it's more for me for what I eat rather than what skincare I put on, but that's just anecdotal.
Sleep as well. I think
Oh,
sleep is the best
sleep.
face cream.
Yeah.
Right? You just look so amazing when you've had a decent night's sleep.
Here.
Sucks to be you, doesn't it?
in fact, this is actually a perfect talking about comparison spin. Before and after of someone that gets sleep and someone that doesn't get sleep on the exact same face. What a shame for me. Cool. Shall we end on one thing that we've all learned? for today? Rob, you can go first. I know that you know everything that we've said.
What have I learned today? What have I learned today? I don't know.
No,
Sorry, I was listening, but I was trying to take it all in. Now I can't remember anything.
Mine is my protein. Learn about protein. That I don't actually have to be guzzling those protein shakes. I am getting enough.
Yeah, same. And also that you didn't need as much as I thought
I honestly
needed.
thought I was getting nowhere near it, but I must get that every day. 70
And
grams.
what is it?
Tryptophan.
Tryptophan. I am going to just fall down the rabbit hole of this. I'm fascinated.
Now a
ChatGPT is going to be on
Yeah.
fire with tryptophan. I think mine might be the tuna revelation, you know.
Oh, on that actually.
Because I have tuna all the time, thinking that I was getting my omega-3 smell. Oh dear. Okay.
There you go. Do you want one from me?
Yeah.
I'm really struggling. I
Rob,
learned a bit about the
back to-
skin barrier.
yeah,
I didn't know
part
much about
two.
this stuff with the skin barrier.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's interesting.
Every day's a school day.
Every day's
okay,
a
right,
school
shall we
day.
go for some pinto beans now?
And tryptophan?
Yeah, and
And
tryptophan.
salmon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, guys.
Thank you for having
Okay.
me.
No
Yeah,
worries.
pleasure.
Did this gut you excited? Join us on our 100 Days to Hack Your Gut Health programme. The link is in the bio. Come and find us on Instagram at The Gut Stuff. In fact, we're at The Gut Stuff pretty much everywhere. So hit subscribe. Your gut will thank you for it. Keep your shit together and have a gut day.